If you appreciate my videos, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to help me keep on teaching, writing, and making videos, then please think about becoming a patron. This will be quite short. I've been feeling frustrated by the raft of videos about Celtic creation myths on YouTube. Every few months a new one pops up. To be fair, some of them are just people speculating about what such a myth might have been like, whether it existed, and so on. Fair enough, no problem. However, the majority are just sharing modern stories as if they're ancient and authentic pieces of mythology. And that's not so good, because it misinforms people who are actually trying to learn about Celtic mythology. Now, you might say that viewers should check, but it took me hours to track down the origin of the two stories that are most widely circulated. And I only did it because I was already certain that they were modern concoctions. I think it's unfair that we should expect that level of dedication from people who are new to Celtic mythology. But people do want accurate information, and I hate seeing them being given anything else. So let's get into this. One story is about Dawn and Danu. In this one, they are the first two gods, and creation stems from their story. I traced this to an old discussion board called Pagan Mystics, where it was published by its author, Ian McIntyre, in 2007. I'm sure he had good reasons for writing it, and that's great. And I'd like to emphasize that he's not the one sharing it around the internet as if it's some ancient and authentic piece of mythology. I have two thoughts about the people who are sharing it. First, they've plagiarized this guy's writing, which is problematic. Or they actually believe it's authentic because they didn't do any research. And honestly, anyone who has studied Celtic myths would recognize that this is a modern piece of writing. Why make videos about mythology if you're not going to do proper research? People who repeat this stuff are either lazy, or they don't know much about Celtic myth, or they are using someone else's story without crediting them. Take your pick. The other story starts with a horse called, Ayoeka? And that's the first problem. There doesn't seem to be a word or name like this in any Celtic language, which is my excuse for not having any idea how to pronounce it. Anyway, this horse is born out of sea foam. She gives birth to Epona, who then gives birth to various deities. Have you ever heard that saying that something looks like it was designed by a committee? It's kind of like saying it looks like it was made out of spare parts. Well, it turns out that is exactly how this story came about. I tracked its history to a website called the Celtic Religion, where it is stated clearly that in 2002, a team assembled at the Jerry Tobin Irish Language School in New York to reconstruct a version of the lost myth of the Celts. It then goes on to share a summary of the story. Now, just to be clear, there is no Celtic deity with that name. Not in mythology, not in an inscription. However, that's what the team decided to write, and that's really entirely their business. My problem is people sharing these stories around the internet as if they're something they're not. And again, this is somebody's intellectual property, and they're not being credited either. Of course, crediting someone would entirely spoil the effect of claiming it's part of a Celtic tradition. I have seen these shared in places they really shouldn't be. On a channel for teachers to give to their students as homework, for example. The person who runs that channel should be ashamed, and the teachers should do their research too. Grabbing random videos from the internet isn't a great approach to teaching mythology or world religion. So what is the real Celtic creation myth? There just isn't one. There is nothing from Celtic Gaul or Ireland or Wales that could be called a creation myth. That really bothers some people, but I think it's kind of cool. It speaks to a different worldview, which isn't that surprising. Of course, maybe there once was one, and it didn't survive the passage of time, but I don't think so. I think there would have been some evidence of it. If you want to know a bit more about this topic, I'll include a link below this video.